Hi, this will be a very quick tutorial or rundown on how the workflow works inside this tool. So let's begin. Script, state, and if I could type, alright, now you do this. This is the quest start, or you could just type it using the code library entirely. And that's all there is to how the script works. You either type manually or you insert code using the library. And of course you can always rewrite whatever the library prints. Let's get some example. For example, KO. QML card doesn't yet exist, but let's set it to player. And that's fine. And what you type in the template appears here in the printed code. And of course, same rules apply. Once it is printed, you can modify it however you want. Delete it entirely. Moving on to quest, go to templates, text and mods, text entry, I don't know, entry 1 for example, some text. Then you can do entry 2, some more text. Then you can do XV2 mod, some mod name. You can get this from Eternity's tools, the actual GUID, not this random process. Alright, once you have that done, you can also copy paste however you want. Although you realistically don't need this many entries, and definitely not the ones that have the exact same ID. Alright, once you have that set up, you go to main quest skeleton, you name the quest, test_test. TMQ part must be here, the rest is optional and up to you. Well, not optional, it is required, but it is up to you what you write there, for example. That also works. Alright, then you can select whichever text entry you want. Of course, there are a lot of ones that have the exact same ID in my example, but in yours it will be something like success, failure, outline, warning, EX success. Alright, now you go here, enable this and this. This is very standard for parallel quests, so unless you are doing some really wacky shit, you really want to keep both of those in at all times. Now, moving on. You can select the difficulty however you want. You can change the quest timer according to your desires. Just don't go overboard because it could cause integer overflow. Then you select the starting stage as usual. And the starting stage is usually the exact same stage as here in the very first stage ID. And regarding vanilla stage tick or vanilla characters, it works the exact same way. And if we move over here, where is it? There it is. If you take this stage off, it will now write without quote marks, and that is because modded stages are defined without quote marks, but vanilla stages are always inside quote marks. So that's what this vanilla stage tick is for. Then if you want, you can insert the character portrait. You don't have to, it is not mandatory, but if you want to, it is here. Same rules apply, vanilla or not vanilla. Is that everything? That seems to be everything. Then it is printed, and of course you can still modify everything that is currently written however you want. Up to you. Alright, moving on, dialogues. You can insert text audio entries on their own. But given that you can also insert them directly using the dialogues themselves, that is no longer all that necessary. So you can name this, it gets automatically assigned here and here. Then you just name this dialogue whatever you want. Name me. Also, IDs cannot have space bars in them, so underscores it is. Then you select the actor that you want. There's quite a lot to choose from, as you can see. With is the lucky one. Then you can add more parts or remove already added parts. Then you click OK, and there you go. That's the dialog done. The exact same principle works with interactive dialogs. It's just that interactive dialogs support only up to 3 dialog parts. And as you can see, they already tell you what they do. However, you can insert even more. Oh, that's actually hard-coded, I forgot I did that. Anyway, if you really want it, you could add more parts. Let's see. However, everything after the third dialog part will be ignored. So there is really no point in adding them. Well, anyway, that's the dialogs done. Let's move on to positions. And the objects and characters work in pretty much the same way, so let's just go here. Player, position, URL car will be player, stage is wasteland, I think. Vanilla stage, the exact same rule as quests. If vanilla, quotes, if it is a modded stage, without quotes. Enter, and you are done. You do this for all the characters you want, or you can just copy them manually. Now, into characters, you will first begin with QXDs, and for player only, that is usually the QXD special car. This is the actual name of the QXD that the QMLs reference. And this, of course, same rule, with quotes, without quotes. Alright, then you set the level, and you are done. Then you can create another one. This one can be QXD car. Let's say it's view. View is not appearing. Okay. Got a bit messed up here. Boom. Where is view? There is view. Okay. Level 1, because he is a trickster. There we go. Now QMLs. You can see that now QMLs reference both view and player base. And those are the QXD car IDs that you have just written. Now character ID is what the QML itself will be called. So for player base, it will be just player. And player has battle ID of 0. Stage wasteland, that's fine. Spawn at start, that must be set to yes for player. Or well, it doesn't have to be, but it usually is as far as parallel quest goes. Now this you can set to 0. However, only the very first player character can be set to 0. Because since player is directly controlling this character doesn't need any allocated com actions to operate. But once you move on to battle index 1 and 2, those do need to have these defined, because not always will all the playable characters be actually controlled by players. In case the playable character is still set to human, but is played solo offline, then their battle index 2 will actually be controlled by the computer, so it will behave as if it was set to normal, even though it is set to human. That is why you must include some actions here, but otherwise just leave it at 0. Of course, change team B into A. Well, you don't actually have to, you can play on team B versus team A, but in this example it will be easier to just keep it at A. And there you go. Very simple.